Bodies of 4 students pulled out from the Beas River, but hope fades for the 21 others swept away by water released from a Himachal Pradesh dam. All employees there are suspended. Survivors pray for a miracle.
As a matter of fact, I am hoping for miracles.
We're certainly joining in those prayers as well. This is the big focus here on CNN IBN. Could that disaster have been avoided? Much more ahead. I'm Arunodaya Mukherjee.
Good evening, I'm Ananya. CNN IBN's Jyoti Kamal is at the spot to bring you the latest on the relief operations. We'll get to that in a moment. Before that, a quick check of the other headlines this evening. 28 people, including 10 terrorists, killed in an attack on the Karachi airport. Pakistani Taliban claims responsibility. Indian airports are put on high alert.
President Pranab Mukherjee presents the central government's roadmap. Reviving the economy will be top priority. Will push FDI in sectors that generate employment and provide an investment-friendly tax regime.
But the rain gods could prove to be a dampener. The monsoon will be below average this year, predicts the Met Department.
The Home Ministry approves use of helicopters to deploy troops quickly for offensive operations against Maoists in Chhattisgarh. Sources telling CNN IBN so far they were used only for rescue operations.
A special CBI court sentences 17 policemen to life in prison in the 5-year-old Dehradun fake encounter case. They were convicted of killing a 22-year-old MBA student.
So today the tennis give me back what happened in Australia now. So for me, play here in Roland Garros is just unforgettable.
World number 1 Rafael Nadal speaks after clinching his record 9th French Open title.
But our top focus on the tragedy in Manali, hope now fading away for the 20 students and that one tour operator who were swept away by the waters of the Beas River in Manali.
Rescue operations have been on since last night. 4 bodies have been pulled out of the Pando Dam so far. Authorities telling us survival chances are very grim. The waters are freezing at the moment. Chief Minister of the state, Veerbhadra Singh, has ordered an inquiry under the Divisional Commissioner. The parents of all missing students will be reaching Manali by a special flight arranged by the state government. The students of this Hyderabad Engineering College were taking pictures at that river yesterday when water was all of a sudden released from the Largi Dam. The officials at that dam have now been suspended.
The difference between the Largi Dam and the Pando Dam and the Beas River that's flowing in between is a 15-kilometer long stretch. You can see that several boats which are there now to be looking for bodies have also been deployed. A lot of them are volunteers who are now going through this entire stretch. You can see that the flow of water is very intense. If you look towards the left side, you can see that it's almost like whitewater rafting here. So the students had got down into the water. They had wanted their photographs to be clicked. They had not anticipated that there's going to be a sudden surge in the level of the water, which happened because the Largi Dam suddenly released a lot of water into the Beas River, which was already flowing very fast, and the sudden increase in water caused all the students who were there towards the center of the river to tumble into the river. And because of the very rocky terrain that you can see all around and in the riverbed also, they started tumbling and rolling through the rocks, which in itself battered them. The bone-chilling waters that are there, they also numbed them. And of course now the search and rescue teams are trying to retrieve the bodies. Several bodies have been retrieved. There are teams that have been deployed along the way. Deputy commissioners of adjoining districts are also here overseeing the operations. With us is the Deputy Commissioner of Kulu, Mr. Rakesh Kanwar. Sir, what happened in this particular case?
As you can look here, many people traveling to Manali, they stop by the riverside and they get down near the river to click pictures and sit in water, which is risky as such. It should not be a routine thing, but people go down and they think that it's safe to be there, but it's not very safe. So these students were also there at that time. Unfortunately, the water level rose because water from dam was released, though the dam people are saying that it was with the prior warning and they have followed all the protocol, but that will be clear only after a proper inquiry.
All the staff of the Largi hydropower station have been suspended. The resident engineer, he has also been suspended. We are going to ask him really what happened. Did you sound adequate warnings when you released the water?
It has been confirmed and checked by the staff of the available at the dam site at that time on the duty,
It has been confirmed by them that they have sounded the hooters before releasing the water into the Beas River.
We would very quickly like to add that here is a villager who says that there were no warnings sounded. आपको कोई warning सुनाई दी थी?
नहीं सर, नहीं सुनाई दी.
So here is a villager who says no warnings were sounded. So it's a little contradictory, but the resident engineer there saying that all warnings were sounded. They could not hold the water. They were under compulsion to release the water. So it was a very delicate balance that they had to strike, and unfortunately the students who did not hear the warnings, they got washed away in this flow. Several teams now deployed. Bodies have been recovered. More bodies are being searched for now along this entire 15-kilometer stretch, which is a very fast-flowing Beas River. With Neeraj Upadhyay at the Larji Dam, Jyoti Kamal.
We were panicking all around, sir. Means water level is rising up. All people are shouting that we will go out, but things would not happen because all just happened in just 2-3 minutes. We were thinking we will be going off to the shore easily, but the path which we came on the rocks, that means round off, so we could not able to step on that rocks. Meanwhile, water flow also got increased, so the people who are around could not step easily.
Did you hear any cries for help eventually?
Yeah, they were crying. That they are shouting. They were shouting, but we are in a helpless situation because the flow was very high. The bad part is there is no siren or no alarm from the place.
Right, our heart certainly going out to the families currently worried, anxious about information coming in from Himachal Pradesh. Let's just get you a sense of where exactly this accident happened and what exactly happened. This is a satellite image of the area which we are talking about. The Larji Dam, a little further north from the Pando Dam, where the rescue operations really are being conducted at the moment, retrieval operations really, and that's where the tragedy happened. If we zoom into this particular area, on Sunday at around 6:30, extra water was released from the Larji Dam all of a sudden, and this is that disaster zone near the Thalot bridge. 48 students, 1 teacher and 1 tour guide were at Thalot clicking photographs, as we pointed out. Students get caught after that sudden burst of water was released in this particular area, and that's the route that it followed later on. 24 students get washed away as a result of that accident. We're still being told that certain warnings were issued, but that still remains an object of information. Floodgates at the Larji Dam then were closed only at Sunday at around 6:35 p.m. and that's the fear because of that current of the Beas River. What really happened, or how fast were they really swept away? Locals then protested around 6:30 again on the road, causing a traffic jam near Thalot. So the matter started getting a little more serious. Rescue teams then take 4 hours to reach that particular accident site. Remember, these are tricky terrains really. Now this is the particular area where these rescue operations or the retrieval operations really are being centered around. 12 hours later, the first body is finally taken out this morning only at 6 in the morning. Remember, the 15-kilometer stretch is the big focus between the accident site, slightly southern part of the Larji Dam, and then to the Pando Dam. So this is a 15-kilometer stretch in a very high-flowing, very, very choppy Beas River. So it's going to be difficult for the rescue operators to really focus their attention on this area. Right now it's dark, so perhaps rescue operations again will be centered around tomorrow morning. We'll be tracking all of that, but certainly our focus and our prayers with the families currently worried for their loved ones.
A desperate cry of a mother for her missing son. Widowed Satyavani's only support, Ashish Mahanta, left home on the 1st of June with a promise to return home within 10 days. But little did Satyavani know her son's holiday trip would turn tragic.
The persons whom I was accompanying with him, and they are safe. They given information, he rescued 2 girls and he is gone away. Till now, we doesn't have any information.
Rescue operations are still on. The fate of at least 20 students is not known. The students allege that it took 4 hours for rescue operations to start, delayed due to protests by local villagers.
पुलिस तो ऐसे ग्रुप्स में इकट्ठा थी, लेकिन कोई जवान ऐसे नहीं दिख रहा था कि कोई स्ट्रगल कर रहा है.
They were very close to the shore. I'm still.
Chief Minister Veerbhadra Singh, paying a visit to the site, had to face the eye of angry students questioning the delay in rescue operations. The state government had few answers but has ordered an inquiry. HRD Minister Smriti Irani also assured support.
I have expressed my concern to the local administration with regards to intermediate checkposts which should be available.
Order inquiry by Divisional Commissioner in this matter. All aspects of the matter will be taken into account. If there is any negligence found on any part, anybody's part, suitable action will be taken.
For now, Satyavani along with parents of the missing students have left for Himachal. with just one hope of reuniting with her missing son. With Jyoti Kamal in Kullu and Preeti Singh in Hyderabad, in New Delhi, Reena Bhardwaj.
And Himachal Chief Minister Veerbhadra Singh was faced with some tough questions by students when he visited them this morning. They alleged the rescue simply came too late.
यहाँ पे अगर हमको साइन मिल जाता था तो शायद थोड़े लोग बच जाते थे। ऑलमोस्ट 4 आवर्स का डिले था और कोई रेस्क्यू टीम नहीं आई वहाँ पे, ना कार्यकर्ता थे कोई, ना कोई ब्लड लॉइड्स का इंतजाम किया गया वहाँ पे जहाँ पे इंसिडेंट हुआ था।
The entire state unit and the state network is alert and active. They're working for the students. Our heart goes out to the families. Our deepest condolences to all the families that have suffered the loss. But then this is an unavoidable loss, that an unavoidable situation because of the, I would say, cruel negligence of few officers. This has happened. So we request and we demand severe action on those officers from the CM of Himachal Pradesh.
Today, early in the morning, our General Secretary along with 4 faculty members, he has gone there. He is personally supervising everything that is what is happening there. He will get the bodies back to the Hyderabad. That is our responsibility. And we will see these bodies will go to their houses. But that is not the criteria. That is not what we are expecting. What we wanted to see, that I don't know, whatever they want, we will do it at the airport. We will bring them to the airport. We will take them to the village also. Let us, because naturally these things, we can't console the parents. You can console me, but not the parent, that is the problem.
Difficult time for the families. We're with them in the prayers at the moment. Also at 8:30, our correspondent Jyoti Kamal will join us live from Ground Zero to get us the very latest on what is exactly happening and also to get us an expert perspective. We'll be joined by SS Guleria, the DIG of the NDRF, who's in charge of this present operation.
So the question we're raising on the Manali tragedy, is it a man-made one? That's a talking point in India at 9 with Anubhav Bhosle tonight.
To our other top story, the terror attack at the Karachi airport, the Tehreek-e-Taliban has claimed responsibility, saying it was an act of revenge for the killing of Hakeemullah Mahsood last year.
In fact, the siege lasted for over 6 hours, leaving 28 dead, including the 10 terrorists. Indian airports too now on high alert.
A 5 to 6 hour siege at Karachi's Jinnah International Airport, starting at 11 p.m. Sunday night. Heavily armed gunmen, who we now know were with the Tehreek-e-Taliban, attacked the Karachi airport in 2 groups, focused on the terminal used for the Hajj pilgrimage, and another section close to an old terminal. Disguised in official uniforms and with some of them carrying official IDs, they were armed with rocket-propelled grenades and rocket launchers. At least 3 of them detonated their suicide vests. By Monday morning, the death toll stood at 28, including 10 terrorists. 4 airport employees and 9 security personnel were among those killed.
स्टेट फायर किया है मेरे ऊपर, मैंने जवाब में इसको स्ट्रेचर ही मार दिया, मेरे हाथ में स्ट्रेचर था, बस स्ट्रेचर मारा है, पीछे से पुलिस वालों ने इस पे फायर मारा है.
On Monday morning, the Tehreek-e-Taliban took responsibility and called it retaliation for the killing of Hakeemullah Mahsood, killed in a US drone strike late last year, as well as military strikes near the Afghan border, and suggested its plan was to hijack a passenger aircraft. The peace talks between the government and Taliban fell apart earlier this year.
It is fair to assume that a lot of this is to do with the blowback of the peace deal with the Taliban basically unraveling in the last few weeks as the military has stepped up its game against the militants in the North Waziristan Tribal Agency on the northwestern side of the country.
It reflects poor intelligence. It reflects the overall security situation in Pakistan, which isn't improving, and it shows that the jihadis are a greater menace than the Pakistani state is willing to accept. One of the consequences of the attack on the Karachi International Airport could be further restriction of or further reduction of international air carriers flying into Pakistan. That will only lead to Pakistan's greater isolation.
The group has vowed more attacks. The highly trained militants had backpacks stuffed with food and ammunition and may have been expecting a longer siege. Coming just a few years after a brazen attack by militants on the Mehran naval base in the same city, many questions now arise for the Pakistani government over what seems to be a major intelligence lapse. With Amrita Tripathi in New Delhi, Deepika Kaura.
And the fallout of that Karachi siege is that all Indian airports have been put on high alert. Sources say the CISF personnel have been asked to maintain stricter vigil and quick response teams have been asked to be better prepared. We're taking a quick break, but this will be the big talking point on India at 9 tonight.
The question reporting out, has Pakistan paid a heavy price for failing to rein in terror groups? That's coming up with Anubhav Bhosle at 9 tonight.
All right, let's get you some news that's just coming in, and this is coming from our government sources who say that the Modi government is planning to follow the Gujarat model of Investor Summit at the national level as well, and that Narendra Modi has initiated discussions for a vibrant India Global Investor Summit as well. Maria Shakil, CNN correspondent, is getting us this big piece of information. Maria, what else do we know? Are dates finalized yet?
That's right, Ananya. Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister, is looking at replicating the similar model of Investor Summit that we saw in Gujarat while he was the Chief Minister. What we have picked up from the government sources is that the talks are currently on to look at a similar model at a national level, which essentially means a vibrant India Global Investor Summit kind of, that will be the nature of that. And that the talks are still on as far as the date is concerned. That is likely to be in the month of November. Though dates have not been finalized as yet. But as the presidential address was pointing out very clearly that the focus of this government clearly is on economy and containing inflation and looking at investment as well, be it foreign direct investment in railways as is being talked about, or FDI in other sectors as well. So the Narendra Modi government clearly ensuring that what he talked about yesterday, that 3 mantras of skill, scale will be implemented at the national level as well.
Maria Shakil, thanks for that information. And in the first high-level Indo-US interaction under the new Modi government, the US Assistant Secretary of State Nisha Biswal met with her counterpart at the Ministry of External Affairs today.
She met the Joint Secretary of the US Division and other officials at the ministry. Ms. Biswal is also likely to meet National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. She arrived in India on Saturday for a 3-day visit, which comes months ahead of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's impending visit to the US, where he will be meeting President Barack Obama on the sidelines of the UNGA summit. Ms. Biswal said that the US was looking forward to establishing strong ties with the new Indian government.
The United States is very excited about the opportunity ahead and the road ahead, because we see the resounding mandate with which this government has come in, with which Prime Minister Modi has come in, and the hopes and the aspirations of the Indian people. The United States wants to partner with India in meeting those hopes and aspirations. This is an opportunity for us to hear from the government on their agenda and their priorities. The President, in his first conversation with Prime Minister, invited him and welcomed him to Washington, and we look forward to that.
So certainly the government is looking at foreign policy. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi, the special envoy sent by President Xi Jinping, met Narendra Modi earlier today.
In fact, Wang Yi conveyed a message from the President congratulating Modi and wished him success. He called on Narendra Modi to work together to achieve peaceful cooperation and inclusive development for the benefit of both nations. Yesterday, he and the External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj held over 3 hours of talks. There will be at least 6 more meetings at the highest levels later this year. All issues were discussed, including border issues and trade deficit, China looking to invest more, and proposing industrial parks in India.
Now, at the Internal Security Meet in Delhi today, Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Raman Singh sought more choppers from the Centre for the Speedy Deployment of Soldiers in Emergency Situations in Naxal-affected areas. The Home Minister Rajnath Singh has agreed in principle, but said he will have to discuss the case with the Indian Air Force first.
A week after a 24-year-old techie was killed in a suspected hate crime in Pune, 2 more people have been arrested. The police claim they are members of the Hindu Rashtra Sena. The group's chief, Dhananjay Desai, has been sent to 14 days judicial custody. He has not applied for bail yet. Police will submit a report to the state government.
A special CBI court has now sentenced 17 police officers to life in prison who were convicted of shooting a 22-year-old MBA student in Dehradun in a fake encounter. All 17 have been asked also to pay a fine of 20,000 rupees. The case will now go to a higher court. A short break, but coming up next, a focus back on the Himachal Pradesh tragedy.
We'll be joined by CNN IBN's Jyoti Kamal from Ground Zero. Also joining us, the DG of NDRF, who's in charge of the operations now.
The headlines once again, bodies of 4 students pulled out of the Beas River, but hope fades for 21 others swept away by the water released from a Himachal Pradesh dam. All the staff there are suspended. Survivors pray for a miracle.
Prime Minister Modi will replicate the vibrant Gujarat Investor Summit at the centre. Sources say a vibrant Indian Global Investor Summit is likely in November, coinciding with the World Economic Forum.
28 people, including 10 terrorists, are killed in that attack at the Karachi airport. Pakistani Taliban claims responsibility. Indian airports put on high alert.
Back to our top focus on the tragedy in Himachal Pradesh. 20 students and 1 tour operator are still missing after being swept away by the Beas River.
Students who were taking a picture at that time were taken by surprise, says one of the professors who survived that accident.
Been a very tragic loss. What really happened?
Well, the students actually were not in any depth. They were very close to the shore, and they were on rocks, boulders which were like 5 to 6 feet high. Most of the students were on the high boulders and they did not enter the water. The water was not deep, it was not flowing fast or anything. But there was there was a faculty member here, a female staff member also with me here. And I've seen some students were unattended at a bit of a distance. So I went there to warn them. I went there and I was speaking to him, and I noticed that one of my feet was on a lower rock. I noticed that my shoe got wet suddenly. I was like, initially there was an excitement, hey, the water level is rising. And within a second or two, I realized that's an alarming situation. By the time I turned back, the rocks that were in the water on which I stepped and went there, they were already submerged. They were all low, they were already submerged. I said, jump in the water now or never, and I immediately jumped and he jumped. And there were some students who pulled us ashore, though we both were swimmers actually. Within like half minute or 1 minute, the whole boulder that was 5 or 6 feet high, that was submerged nearly by the time we went there. I could see there were 3 or 4 students still standing on the boulder, but they were too panicked, I guess. People here were shouting, asking them to come back, jump into the water or something, and they were too panicked to do anything. We did not hear any kind of siren, and if there was any kind of siren, that would have sent as a warning at least to us, to the faculty members and the caretakers, the tour operator and so on. And like I said, we told the students very strictly not to get into the water, and no one got into the water. It's very, very unfortunate that water actually got onto them. And all the 24 were swept away along with the tour guide who was trying to help them. A few students actually could rescue themselves, and some of those who rescued themselves actually went in to rescue others. And unfortunately, they could rescue a couple of people, but they drowned. So it was just, it all happened within a minute or two. Like I said, without any kind of warning or a signal from any kind of signal.
Can't even begin to imagine what they must have gone through. Let's get the very latest from CNN IBN senior editor Jyoti Kamal, who's joining us live from Mandi, from very close to that disaster site. We also have Mr. S.S. Guleria, the DIG of the NDRF, who is overseeing all the operations that are currently going on. Thanks very much for both of you for being with us. I'd just like to take a quick question to you, Mr. Guleria, before I go to the ground there. What exactly, sir, are the biggest challenges that your team there is facing? These are difficult terrain. This is a difficult terrain. These are difficult circumstances.
Yeah, that's very right. The terrain is very difficult. The current of the water is very high. There are big boulders, rocks are there. Even the color of the water is also very dark, not very clear. As a result of which our deep divers, they are not able to see it clearly. And to operate our OBMs, our boat in this water where there are a lot of boulders and rocks, those kind of problems we are facing. But we are on the job, and we are trying our best that we could rescue, or we can recover, the persons who are missing.
Right, Jyoti Kamal, you've been tracking the retrieval operations, as you're pointing out, through the day. What do you see on the ground itself, and what do locals have to say? Were there any warnings? Were there hooters sounded off?
Well, in fact, it's a 14-kilometer stretch, and much of that stretch is whitewater rapids, literally whitewater rapids. So no boat can go there. It's only those whitewater raft kind of things which the locals were using in the morning to try and find any bodies. In fact, they found one body that was stuck there. So as of now, 4 bodies have been retrieved, 21 still are missing. So yes, the biggest issue is that the dam, of course, needed to release the water because they had got instructions from their higher authorities to release the water. But the question is, how did they release the water? Is there a procedure for releasing the water? So the procedure is that they are supposed to be sounding hooters. They sounded the hooters, that's what they claim. The villagers are saying they did not hear any hooter, and the students who had come there, they probably did not realize what the hooters meant. So as the hooters went off, since they were close to the riverbed and the water sound itself was very high there, they did not hear the hooters, they did not understand the signals that the locals were giving them to clear the area. They continued to be there and the water came in a surge. So the second question is, was there a necessity to release all the water in a surge, or could it have been released in a pulsed manner, gradually increasing the flow so that the students would have understood that the water levels are rising? So those are the questions, but for now a divisional commissioner level inquiry has now been ordered by the Chief Minister of Himachal Pradesh. So that inquiry is going to be looking into the entire issue. But for now, all the staff of that particular dam, they have been suspended, including the resident engineer. The resident engineer says he was only doing his job because he had to choose between doing his job or not letting the water go and damaging the dam. So that's what he's claiming. But of course, a very tragic loss of life, and it's a big challenge now for the authorities. NDRF called off their operations later in the evening. They'll be starting them again tomorrow morning. A lot of family members have started trickling in, so we are going to be seeing them at Pandor tomorrow at the Pandor Dam, where they are going to be gathered, hopefully waiting for some more bodies to be retrieved, because as we were pointing out earlier, it's no longer a rescue operation, it's now a retrieval operation, very sadly.
Very sadly, definitely, Jyoti. But in fact, I'd like to take that question back to Mr. Guleria as far as rescue operations, retrieval operations that will continue tomorrow morning. Mr. Guleria, what exactly will the NDRF now be focusing on? What are some of the things or the strategy really that you will be adopting? A lot of loved ones, families are tuning into this program. What kind of assurances really, as far as the kind of strategy the retrieval operations will be adopting?
Yeah, we are having a very trained deep divers. We are equipped with specialized equipment, and we are trying our best. We have made strategy like from the place of the incident, where the place called the Lathod, and up to Pandor Dam. That is the area which we have bracketed, and from the top as well as downstream and upstream, we are carrying out these we can say it's a combing operation throughout the river, both sides of the bank of the river as well as the big boulders. Wherever we are suspecting that there are chances that body can be retrieved. So that way it is the way we are doing it. If required, then we will send extra forces also.
Right, Jyoti Kamal, this incident happened at 6 last evening. You're saying locals also tried to alert those students. They sounded off some whistles as well. But what do locals have to say when this water is released periodically? How are they alerted?
Yes, in fact, that's what was one of the grouses of the locals, that they are not alerted very well, and they continue to fear for the safety of their primary and secondary school students. There are primary and secondary school students who cross that particular riverbed, and water is periodically released. A hooter is sounded. That's what the dam authorities say, but the villagers are time and again saying that the hooter is not sounded often enough, the hooter is not loud enough, and the warnings are not clear enough. And so they are requesting that some better procedure be put in place. In fact, they said this to the HRD minister also, Smriti Irani, and she was saying that she is going to be taking up this particular issue of the primary and secondary school students who cross the riverbed. But yes, as you are pointing out, this has served as a wake-up call. There are no warning signs there. There is nothing to warn people that going to the riverbed could be dangerous during this time of the year, because it's summers. People tend to be at the riverbeds trying to have a good time there, and that's what these students were also hoping to do. They were there taking photographs, not knowing that a big surge of water is going to be coming their way. And that's the big question. Should it have been done that way? Is there a better way of doing it? Because obviously at this time of the year, it's a very high tourist inflow season. The students had stopped their Volvo bus, gone down to the riverbed. Could it be done in a better way? So all these questions have to be answered now. But for now, the blame has been put on the dam authorities, and that's why all of them have been suspended. But they're of course trying to put forth their defense. And now it's the divisional commissioner inquiry which is going to make things very clear. But yes, a very tragic loss of life here.
Right, Mr. Guleria, if I could come back to you, the stretch that you're talking about that the NDRF has really identified, will you be looking beyond that as well? Because this is a very turbulent river, as Jyoti Kamal has also been reporting, that the current is very strong, as you also pointed out yourself. Is there a possibility that you perhaps need to extend the search operations or extend that particular area that you're talking about beyond this identified region?
No, that area which we have identified, that will remain the area of operation. Reason being, the chances of the further going the bodies below the limit of you can say the Pando dams are less. Many times our past experience shows that sometimes the dead bodies which are under the water, beneath the water, it takes time, some time to come up, and automatically also comes up. At the same time, we will carry on. Will carry on our operations of retrieving the dead bodies. Our deep divers will remain in action. So the area of operation will remain the same, because right from the morning we have already covered the area where there were chances that body would have gone further down below. That area was already blocked. So area of operation will remain the same.
All right, sir. Thanks very much for speaking to us here on CNN IBN. Jyoti Kamal, thanks to you as well, reporting from Mandi on this terrible tragedy. The question, of course, is whether it's a man-made tragedy.
Certainly. So also do spare a thought for all the people and the forces of the NDRF currently risking their lives while we are still talking about what exactly happened. All right, let's now get you that other big focus that we've been tracking since this morning. President Pranab Mukherjee addressing that joint sitting of Parliament, outlining the economic roadmap for the government.
In fact, he called it the first clear mandate for a political party in 30 years and said putting the economy back on track is the top focus. In the hour-long speech, the president said containing food inflation will be a top priority. He says there's a contingency plan in place for a weak monsoon, essentially that the government is prepared. Also importantly, he said FDI will be allowed in sectors where it will generate jobs. The big push will be on reigniting investment and restoring business confidence. The government also promising a non-adversarial and investment-friendly tax regime. Also in the list of promises, single window system of clearances for manufacturing, infrastructure development program for high-speed rails, roads and airports. Clear rules will also be formulated for allocation of coal, minerals and spectrum.
My government will follow a policy of encouraging investments, including through FDI, which will be allowed in sectors that help create jobs and assets. My government will create a policy environment which is predictable, transparent and fair. It will embark on rationalization and simplification of the tax regime to make it non-adversarial and conducive to investment. My government will function on the mantra of minimum government, maximum governance. My government is dedicated to the poor. Containing food inflation will be the topmost priority for my government. My government will take effective steps to prevent hoarding and black marketing.
Are you worried that the UPA's flagship programs may get ignored?
Well, I'm not sure so far. I'm not sure so far because, I don't find much of the place for continuance of the flagship programs. But should that happen, that will be most unfortunate. Insofar as Congress party is concerned, we are going to play a constructive role. We are not going to oppose the government just for the sake of opposition.
And the president in his address also said that contingency plans were in place in case of a weak monsoon this time.
My government is alert about the possibility of a subnormal monsoon this year, and contingency plans are being prepared. It will increase investment in agriculture, both public and private, especially in agri-infrastructure.
The Met Department, of course, predicting that the monsoon may be below average this season, so that statement certainly makes sense in this context. In a press conference, the Met Director earlier this evening said that there is likely to be a 33% rainfall deficit between June and September. Respite for residents of Delhi from the heat is still far away. The Met Department predicting that the monsoon is only going to be reaching the capital towards the end of the month.
All right, take a quick break ahead. There's sports news. It's just 3 days to go now for the FIFA World Cup.
But some anxious moments for the organizers. Is Brazil really ready for the big tournament? We'll get to that in just a bit.
Sports as promised, and in case you missed this one, Rafael Nadal has created history by winning his 9th French Open title after defeating Novak Djokovic in the final.
Making it look so easy. Djokovic eyeing his first French Open title, making that early running to take the first set 6-3, but Nadal fighting back to take the second one 7-5. The Spaniard then rampaging through the third and fourth set, finally closing the match 3-6, 7-5, 6-2, 6-4.
Amazing, emotional today. I lost the final of Australia this year. Had a problem in my back in the final, so it was a very hard moment. So today the tennis give me back what happened in Australia. No? So for me, play here in Roland Garros is just unforgettable forever. I want to say thank you very much, everybody here. It's just very difficult to talk for me right now.
All right, from tennis to football now. 3 days to go to the FIFA World Cup, but is Brazil, which is hosting that tournament, really ready to handle it?
In fact, many people have been protesting the massive amount of money spent on organizing the event. CNN's Shasta Darlington takes a look.
It's the final countdown to the World Cup kickoff. My question, is Brazil on track? To find out, I meet up with infrastructure expert Paulo Rezende at the Sé metro station, the subway line that will take fans to the foot of the Sao Paulo arena. He's optimistic fans will be able to get to stadiums fairly easily.
During 1 month now, the fans in Brazil will be treated like kings.
But he says it's not because Brazil delivered the promised infrastructure, it's simply because game days will now be declared holidays. The metro system in Salvador, not finished. The airport in Manaus, not finished. The metro in Belo Horizonte, never started. It's that lack of tangible investment in urban infrastructure that has fueled discontent. Protesters across the country have lashed out at the government for spending $4 billion on stadiums instead of buses, schools, and hospitals. For the World Cup, Brazil plans to deploy 157,000 police and troops. As for the stadiums, some are more ready than others. The iconic Maracanã underwent a stunning renovation, but the grass is gravelly. Yet it's the Sao Paulo arena that's been FIFA's biggest headache. Just days before kickoff, workers were still finishing up on VIP and press boxes and the spectator stands. It doesn't seem to have affected record-breaking ticket sales from fans anxious for a seat at the biggest football show on the planet. Shasta Darlington, CNN, Sao Paulo.
And as we end, we leave you with a CNN IBN impact from Jammu.
We highlighted the plight of 61-year-old Vinod Sahni, a former Indian spy who was jailed in Pakistan for 11 years and whose vendor's cart recently was dismantled by the Jammu and Kashmir government just a few weeks back. The Jammu municipality has today allotted the space back to Sahni as well as permission to construct a food stall after that CNN IBN report.